Hello everyone. Now, Ihuman simulation is a challenge to everyone, so I felt like I should give you a simple tour guide on how you can handle it. So it is an assignment like every other assignment, so it is always very important to start with the instructions, and so you can start by going over the instructions to at least have a clue of what is expected and how we can handle the problem. So here the first thing we are told that it is a learning mode, meaning this one is graded. It is a graded assignment that has to be done correctly for one to get the maximum score. The attempts available is only one attempt, so you only have one chance to do it. And then there's a grading rubric, which says that you score 40% from the doing the history. Then physical exam is also 40%, differential diagnosis is 5%, test also take 5%, and then the remaining 10% are taken by the plan. Now, we are also told that any section not specified in the grading rubric do not count towards the total case play score. So in other words, you really have to pay attention to these five parts. Now, history requires you to ask certain questions, at least to have the basis of the patient's problem so that you can know what to diagnose the patient with, and also to draw the right plan, which includes interventions such as medications and other recovery measures that the patient should take. Now, this three question limit is 90. You have a chance to ask as many as 90 questions. There is the history hints, which can gives you hints of the right questions to ask. The number of if you've asked maybe let's say 10, and then it tells you how many more you can ask. Then there's also the prior records, which is found at the EHR button or electronic health record. So if the patient has ever visited the clinic, then you can use these records to maybe compare the current visit to the previous one. And then you're also supposed to, under the EHR, you should start by asking two open-ended patient-centric questions. So these are always there. They're like the basics. So the first one is, how can I help you today? And then the second one is, do you have any other symptoms or concerns we should discuss? So these two questions should always feature in any iHuman simulation case. Then the second step is, you're supposed to go over history of present illness using the mnemonic old cards, which is one of the options that you can use. Then you're also supposed to look at the past medical history, family history, and then social history. The fourth step is ROS, which is review of symptoms. Then once you've done this, there's always a feedback, which tells you there gives you a feedback of the questions that you asked the correctly, or if there are some that you miss, or they also feature in the feedback. Then once you are done with the history, you move to physical exam, where you are required to note your key findings in the key findings section, and document your physical exams in the EHR. So what that means is, you're supposed to undertake the physical exam for the patient and then record your findings. Under physical exam, you have room to do 40 exams. There are also some exercises that you can take. There are always maybe 3 to 5 exercises. Some are multiple, most of virtually all of them are always multiple answer choices. So you can choose the right ones from the list given. Then you're also supposed to do an assessment of the key of your key findings by organizing and ranking them. You're also supposed to give a problem statement. You also go over the differential diagnosis of the patient, which you're also required to rank, and then you can select the right test for this diagnosis. And then you can review. The next step is to reviewing the results. You select the right diagnosis depending on these results and the diagnosis, that the differential diagnosis. And then you draw up a plan which should include pharmacologic therapies, supportive therapies, silent patient education, and instruction for follow-up, including specific red flag symptoms that should prompt return. You're also supposed to consider the cost, risks, and benefits. Once you've done that, there is the summary tab where you go over the summary of what you've done. I think that's all for the instructions, and so we should jump right into it and see how it should be done. So this is a case that I've already done. So this is the history section. These are it has a section of it has a number of questions, and if you remember the instructions, we have a room to ask as many as 90 questions. So it's like this question, it's the first one, and as you are told under the instruction is you should always ask it. So I already asked the questions. There's the search button that can direct you to specific questions that you should ask the patient. So I already did all that. I asked the questions. I asked the questions, submitted and submitted. Asked the questions, submitted them, and received my feedback. So maybe we can go right to the feedback to see how I performed. So as you can see, the green mark means the right question that asked correctly. Then the X means that questions that should be asked but you failed to ask. So as you can see, out of the first section, I was supposed to ask 4 questions. I found 3 and missed one. Under this, under the history of present illness, I was supposed to ask 1 question, which I did. And then for these are the sections. These are the 3 sections. As you can see, I asked all the right questions that was supposed to ask. Then under the review ROS, I asked as many as I asked a number of right questions, but I missed these 3 that were also supposed to be asked. Now, one thing about the ROS is not really most, but all of these questions, they apply to all cases, all human cases. So you're supposed to pay attention to ROS, the questions to ask under ROS. Then under EHR, we can see that there is the current visit, and then there is the previous visit which took place 1 year and 6 months ago. So you can always check that to just have a clue of what brought this patient to the clinic. And once you have undergone all through all these these steps and cases, then you can jump right to the current visit, where you have to give your answers according to the previous, and then some of the answers that you get from the history section. So then once you're done with that part,